There was absolutely no reason Uncharted Lost Legacy should have worked. It released immediately after Uncharted 4, a game many people and even I still consider one of the greatest PlayStation exclusives ever made. Nathan Drake's story was finally over. The treasure hunter we had spent almost a decade laughing with, surviving impossible train crashes with, and watching grow into a husband and a father was gone. And in his place, a game starring Chloe Frazer and Nadine Ross, two supporting characters, one of whom had literally spent the previous game beating Nathan Drake into the ground. For a lot of fans, that wasn't exactly the sequel they wanted. The internet was already exhausted by what people called the strong female protagonist trend. Everywhere you looked, gaming discussions had been turned into culture wars. So when Naughty Dog announced that the next Uncharted wouldn't feature Nathan Drake, many people, again, including myself, wrote it off before even playing it. Some called it unnecessary, while some called it a cash grab, while others said Uncharted without Nathan Drake wasn't Uncharted at all. But years later, after the tension died down and a couple of good discounts on the game due to it being on sale, many people finally got the chance to play the game, and now there are many people who genuinely believe Uncharted Lost Legacy is way better than Uncharted 4. Not because it is bigger or had a better story, but because it understood something that even Uncharted 4 occasionally forgot, which is less is more. Imagine being Naughty Dog and you just finished one of gaming's greatest finales. You gave Nathan Drake the perfect ending and tied together years of adventures and satisfied millions of fans, but felt like there was still one more idea in the tank for one more adventure. So the question now becomes, how do you continue a franchise that's already finished? The easy answer would have been just leave it alone. But the problem was Uncharted had become one of PlayStation's biggest brands, so there was still room for adventure. The question wasn't whether another game should exist, it was who could possibly replace Nathan Drake. And that was the problem. Nobody could replace Nathan Drake. Trying to make another Nathan would have been a disaster. Fans would have compared every joke, animation, emotional scene, and every shootout. It would have lost before it began. But instead, Naughty Dog made one of the smartest decisions, which I had no idea they were still capable of. They didn't replace Nathan Drake, they simply moved on. Ever since Uncharted 2, Chloe Frazer had quietly become one of the franchise's best characters, with many players still pissed that Nathan Drake didn't end up marrying her. Well, that is a topic for another day. Subscribe so you do not miss when I upload that video. Chloe wasn't a hero or a villain, she was just a girl who did everything possible to survive. She lied, cheated, and stole, but unlike Nathan Drake, she usually put herself first. That moral ambiguity made her more interesting. She wasn't trying to save the world or chasing history for noble reasons, she just wanted the treasure, simple as ABC. But beneath all of the confidence was someone constantly running from commitments. Someone who avoided emotional attachments because emotional attachments only get people hurt. This was the angle Uncharted Lost Legacy took. Lost Legacy explored that side of Chloe. Instead of existing to bounce jokes off Nathan Drake, she became the emotional center of the story. And surprisingly, it worked because Chloe didn't try to become Nathan Drake, she stayed Chloe. Then there is Nadine Ross, probably the biggest reason fans were skeptical. Let's be honest, after Uncharted 4, a lot of players weren't exactly thrilled to see her return. She had no treasure hunting history, she wasn't particularly funny, she felt more grounded than the rest of the cast, and yes, people were still upset about those infamous fights where Nathan and Sam couldn't beat her. So announcing her as one of the leads, that was risky, very risky. But Lost Legacy does something incredibly important. It doesn't ask you to suddenly love Nadine, it earns your respect for her. You see, instead of turning her into an unstoppable superhero, the game strips away everything that made her intimidating. Her military company has collapsed, she is broke and trying to rebuild her life. For once, she finally has something to lose, and that's what gives her depth. She no longer is the one throwing punches, she is someone trying to figure out who she is after losing everything. This is where Uncharted Lost Legacy surprised almost everyone. The relationship between Chloe and Nadine was fantastic, but this wasn't because they instantly became friends. They actually aren't friends. You see how they constantly argue, they do not trust each other, and they always challenge each other's decisions. Neither wants to be the sidekick, and this friction is what creates genuine chemistry, which by the end of their journey, their friendship feels earned. Sure, it is messy, but it is still believable, and most importantly, it feels feels different because after 4 games of Nathan Drake bouncing off Sully, this new dynamic feels refreshingly human. This conversation is impossible to ignore. When Uncharted Lost Legacy launched, gaming was in the middle of endless debates about female protagonists, and to be honest, it still is. Some devs seem to believe that making a woman strong simply meant making her emotionless, perfect, invincible, and always right. Players quickly grew tired of this formula, not because the characters were women, but because they barely felt like people at all. Uncharted Lost Legacy avoided this trap brilliantly. Chloe makes selfish decisions while Nadine gets frustrated. Both women make mistakes, lose arguments, both have flaws, neither exists to lecture the player or exists to prove that they are better than every man in the room. They are just simply well-written characters, and that's the difference. Strength doesn't come from never failing, it comes from overcoming failure. That's why Chloe and Nadine resonated with so many players years later. One of Uncharted's Lost Legacy's greatest strength is that it knows exactly what it is. It is shorter, around 8 to 10 hours depending on your playstyle. No unnecessary filler or bloated pacing, no drawn out chapters. Every location serves a purpose. The set pieces arrive exactly when it should. The open Western World Guide section is still one of the best examples of semi-open world design Naughty Dog has ever created. You are free to explore, find optional conversations, discover hidden temples, solve environmental puzzles, and yet the game never loses momentum. It is freedom without becoming exhausting. Now, this might be controversial, but there is an argument that Uncharted Lost Legacy actually has the best gameplay in the entire franchise. Sure, everything from Uncharted 4 returns, the rope mechanics, stealth, climbing, the gunplay, only this time around it is more refined. The pacing was tighter, combat arenas felt smarter, and the encounters rarely overstayed their welcome. Instead of constantly trying to top itself, the game focused on consistency, and this is exactly what makes it more replayable. Asav doesn't get enough credits. Sure, he is not your world-ending supervillain. He is terrifying because he feels believable. A charismatic extremist obsessed with rewriting history. Someone willing to destroy his own country in pursuit of ideological glory. He is calm, patient, and intelligent, but unlike many Uncharted villains, he never feels cartoonish, and even his final confrontation is one of the franchise's most intense endings. Now, before anyone starts typing angry comments, no, Lost Legacy wasn't trying to replace Uncharted 4, but I completely understand why some people actually prefer it because it is leaner. Its pacing is tighter with a high replay value. There is almost no wasted time. It delivers the adventure without demanding 15 hours from you. This is an Uncharted game which you can revisit over a weekend, which is sometimes exactly what people want. Ironically, Uncharted Lost Legacy accomplished something very few spin-offs ever do. It proved that the franchise could survive without its main character. Not because Nathan Drake wasn't important, he absolutely is, but because Uncharted was always about adventure first. Nathan Drake simply happened to be one of our favorite guide, but by trusting Chloe Frazer instead of copying Nathan Drake, Naughty Dog avoided the biggest mistake they could have made. They respected the ending of Uncharted 4 while proving that there were still stories worth telling. Looking back, I don't think Uncharted Lost Legacy was ever meant to outshine Uncharted 4. That would have been impossible. Its real job was much harder, to convince millions of players that Uncharted still had or has a future after Nathan Drake. And somehow, against all expectations, it succeeded. It didn't try to become a bigger blockbuster or erase Nathan Drake's legacy. It simply told a focused, heartfelt adventure with two flawed characters who slowly learned to trust each other. And maybe that's why so many people overlooked it. It wasn't trying to be the loudest game in the series, it was simply just content with being one of the most confident, and years later that is exactly why it deserves another look. But hey, that's just me. Let me know your thoughts about Uncharted Lost Legacy in the comments. What did you think about Chloe Frazer? What did you think about Naughty Dog's approach to Uncharted Lost Legacy? Let me know what you thought about Nadine this time around in the comment section. Do you still hate her? Or was everything just woke nonsense? Let me know and I'll be waiting for you guys in the comment section. Please, if you enjoyed this video, kindly hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell icon so you can get notified when I upload videos like this. And until next time, Peace and love.
Incredible.